What's going on, everybody? It's the old weeb. John to you today about what I think is a topic that just kind of gets ignored a lot because we live in a world where people don't believe in actually communicating. And it's that scaling of series and scaling animes and all forms of fiction gets really wonky depending on what you're talking about. But I think the biggest culprit in this is when it comes to arguing the big three. And I've always of the notion that Naruto gets scaled incorrectly all the time, even by the big Naruto YouTubers. Let's get into it.
震えるほど心燃え尽きるほど熱くその手から放て鼓動体みなぎる勇気で迷いなき覚悟に喝采をその血の定めジャージョー
And what I mean is by scaled incorrectly is that we have a lot of preconceived notions that when it comes to how we scale any given verse, when it comes to attack potency, destructive capability, hacks, etc. The problem with Naruto as a series is that we never have a system in Naruto that's kind of like a one-to-one ratio. No one has reached a certain apex of power by simply achieving a rank. It's not the same as like Bleach or Dragon Ball Z with like Saiyans, Super Saiyans, Bankai, Basto Lorde form, etc. These transformations in the other series show a clear change in the capabilities and powers of characters. In Naruto, not so much. It's actually acquiring skills and new jutsus that help evolve you as a competitor in the battlefield of Konoha and every parts of the ninja world in general. And when it comes to being on the battlefield against any other members of different villages. Now, the issues that run into is people using the concept of fallacies, especially like a no limits fallacy. It's a very common one in the power scaling community. And for those who don't know, the no limits fallacy is essentially stated that nothing is stated to stop something from working or have an upper limit to how its power works, so that in theory it is infinite or it never stops in terms of how powerful an ability works. A lot of abilities in Naruto don't always have a clear stopgap for when they stop functioning or stop being effective. They just tend to work until they don't, which again leads to a lot of confusion for certain abilities. For example, Itachi's Susanoo has the Tosca blade and the Yata mirror. The Yata mirror in the data book states that it can reflect any kind of attack coming toward it, which kind of seems broken because it stops everything. Now, not every single thing I would say the Yata can block, but what I would say is that everything in the Naruto verse outside of a truth-seeking orb, yeah, the Yata should block it because that's what the context of the ability is. I remember like a couple months ago, maybe a year ago, I made the point on my TikTok about could a healthy Itachi defeat Hashirama? And some people, of course, argue that there's no way even a healthy Itachi could beat him. I'm like, why wouldn't he? He has literally all the tools to fight him. There's nothing that states Hashirama has resistance to Genjutsu. There's nothing saying that he has an answer to the Yata mirror of the Susanoo. Like, the thing about Naruto is that I'm only a game of rock, paper, scissors when it comes to how the powers and abilities work in the show. So, if the ability says it does this, then it does that. If you don't have a direct counter for it, you're kind of screwed. So what this comes down to is that the strength of a ninja in the Naruto verse is completely tied to both their chakra levels and the jutsus they contain. Because when it looks at the characters in Naruto, the idea that purely your title or your chakra is the determination of your strength just doesn't hold water, especially when you look at the fact of Naruto and Konohamaru both having the Rasengan mastered. Do you believe that 12-year-old Naruto who mastered the Rasengan and Konohamaru who fought Pain in the Pain arc with the same Rasengan are at the same strength? I don't believe so, but they both were able to do a jutsu at the same age, that is an A-rank jutsu. Do you believe they're equal? And in relation to Naruto post-time skip, when he got back to the village and did the bell test with Kakashi, the only thing we know for him to have changed in the 2 years is that he learned how to use his shadow clones more efficiently and got a bigger Rasengan. But outside of that, there's no real change in relation to Naruto in the Final Valley toward the end of the Sasuke retrieval arc to post-time skip Naruto before the Kazekage arc. And even moving into the Kazekage arc, the only thing we see notably different is Naruto's use of the Nine Tails against like Deidara and him, almost raging out again. as a result of how pissed he was for Gaara being kidnapped and looked like he almost died. But that's my point. What tangible evidence do you have that Naruto, from the post-time skip, is any stronger than the end of pre-time skip Naruto? You have nothing outside of narrative speculation. And that's why I feel like we run amok when it comes to scaling Naruto characters. It's that I can't give you a definitive answer. You can't give me a definitive answer. All we know is what jutsus they have. I would ask any Naruto fan of this question. Kakashi, in the pre-time skip, post-time skip, war arc, Kakashi. Every version of the character, what we really see outside of DMS, there's clearly a difference there. Do you think he's any stronger than the very first iteration that we see him? Because to me, he's not. He's not stronger until he unlocks the ability to use Kamui multiple times, because the fact is that jutsu itself drained him to the point that just using it twice on Deidara in the Kazekage arc knocked him out for 2 full arcs. That's just how Naruto characters work. If they have jutsus that drain them, they're not as effective until the jutsu becomes less taxing. It's kind of like the idea of the shadow clones being a forbidden jutsu, simply due to the fact that if you use too much of your chakra, you could pass out and could die. And in relation to that, Kakashi is a Jonin. He's not a special Jonin, he's a regular Jonin, and he's one of the best Jonin the Leaf has next to Guy. Guy, in comparison to Kakashi, most would say that he scales equal to Kakashi, if not superior to him when he uses the gates. And that would be why. Why do you think he scales higher to him with the gates versus not without the gates or being equal to? The only thing we have going for them at that point is a transformation or an external source, because in Naruto, the only way characters have gotten stronger in a rapid succession is through a transformation or external chakra factors, such as like Hashirama cells and any other like natural energy, things that they don't produce on their own or create by themselves, and suddenly they're on a whole new level of power. And when, again, I want to keep iterating that the idea that Naruto characters just don't vastly jump in comparison to DBZ or Bleach is due to the fact that we see like literal like checkpoints in the power systems of both Bleach and Dragon Ball Z. We have like Kaioken times 20, we have Super Saiyan, Super Saiyan 2, Super Saiyan 3, we have Shikai, Bankai, Vasto Lorde, Full Espada, whatever you want to go by. There's check marks in each of those shows that indicate a character's rise to another level. In Naruto, the ranking system of like Junin, Chonin, Genin is made irrelevant as early as the end of the Chunin exams, because for Naruto to have fought a Jinchuriki and won against him by himself would be a Kage level feat, but we know Naruto's not a Kage, he's just a Genin. So to go by these metrics just don't hold water. So the only thing we have in Naruto that is a tangible source of new information or a tangible placement of one's ability is their jutsus. Naruto went from being unable to contend against Sasuke even after 2.5 years of training. He goes through essentially a week and a half of training to get Sage mode, and not only is he able to beat Pain with some slight help, but mostly solo, and then Zetsu made the point to Sasuke, yeah, you can't take him now, and the only difference is he got new jutsus and a new transformation. Outside of that, his chakra reserves haven't changed. His, IQ and like new tactics haven't changed. It's literally just he learned a new technique. And Sasuke had Kirin, so the point being is that you don't just go through checkpoint power systems in Naruto. You have to look at the tools and skills they have. Same with Kabuto. Kabuto was fodder, was literally pissing down his leg at just 4-tailed Naruto. And from that, to be able to swap hands with Edo Itachi and EMS Sasuke by himself, and was winning until Itachi pulled out a secret technique that even Sasuke didn't know he had. That's my point. You can easily jump in power in Naruto very quickly without little to no effort, especially if you have external sources, but it's just a matter of get 2 new jutsus and you're good to go. Now, if you made it this far into the video, you might be wondering, okay, if this is the case, and this is true, if everything you're saying is true, then why do people do it this way? It's easy. It's because it's universal. It's so much easier to take the ideas of how you scale other verses and just apply them to every potential verse once you understand the power source, power dynamics, etc. And that's just lazy scaling. That's what it is. Like, the idea that characters in Naruto just fundamentally work the same as any other verse is just not true. It's like saying anyone in a magic verse works the exact same. Just because you scale to certain attacks or like your DC to your AP and durability, they don't always 1-to-1 ratio. And in Naruto, that's definitely the case. The fact of the matter is, and I've said this before in other videos, Konohamaru, a Genin, with only notable jutsus that we have for this point, is the Sexy Jutsu, then the Rasengan, and some 3 or 4 Shadow Clones, was able to beat a pain body with one singular Rasengan. The only way that occurs is because it's not about the level which the individuals in Naruto are scaled to, it is about the jutsus that they have. Let's take Minato, probably the second most hyped and most like revered character in Naruto, next to like Madara or Itachi, depending on where you land. How strong do you really think Minato is? Based on his actual feats and abilities that we see with him alive or in Edo form, how strong is Minato Namikaze when you look at it from the lens of not as a Kage, but as a character in the Naruto verse? Any other questions or ideas you want me to run by? Leave it in the comments, subscribe. GG's guys, talk to you later.